Nestled within a vast, dark, empty city sculpted into the void-black margins of reality is a little orange-red stagecoach surrounded by a circle of tents. A dismal campsite with grim occupants.
Time has passed. How much exactly, Felix has refused to confirm. Based on how much they've slept and eaten, it feels like more than a week for sure. Probably even more than 2 weeks.
Though the glowering orange sun remains fixed as ever in the center of the dark sky, telltale signs of the passage of time are all around them.
The crew have slung hammocks inside the stagecoach's cargo hold and have set up several tents in the surrounding area. These are the same tents and camping gear as they used back on that small, uncharted, blue, foresty islet in the fold last season of the science fantasy audio drama Unend.
No campfires, though. They're not sure if fire is fold safe here, and they're not interested in finding out and being instantly killed by a giant assailant.
They are definitely keeping a healthy distance from any fold they see. But there is still fold around in a general way, and the price for any small mistake with any of that fold seems to be instantaneous vaporization. So why risk it?
It's the opposite of glamping this time. Not glamorous camping, but dismal camping.
Damping?
Damping.
An empty water barrel in the coach's cargo hold is now heaped with empty piles of tin scrap from cans of bread and beans.
The biological man's beard has been growing unhampered, uninterfered with by Merlin.
Everyone is looking a little unkempt, a little unwashed, underslept, and just generally beaten down.
They're hanging on because it's the only thing to do. Everyone is drained.
The stagecoach's water and emergency rations are also getting precariously low. Even if they were to return to the ship, using dooring period, into areas of food storage would require turning on the fold light, which they obviously do not want to do.
It's not looking good, and they might have to reconsider how much food and water everyone is being allotted.
The stagecoach was originally stocked to support over 30 people in a short-term emergency survival scenario, though, so thankfully it has been able to support the 7 people for a seemingly long-term survival scenario.
Steve brought his own provisions from his fold blob farm, and he has been favoring those rather than gambling with all this brand new alien food.
Omelette is still a backpack-bound pupa.
And Merlin doesn't even need to eat or drink, though he's having problems of his own. We'll get to that.
The crew's primary occupation has been the continued attempt at mapping the area, carrying on the work that Mickey barely started, desperately trying to hold on to a sense of purpose and progress, trying not to die, trying not to give up, trying to make any sense out of a place that seems designed to crush all hope out of them. Slinking and scurrying and hiding in the rat maze that is the shell of this cosmos, praying that the Sentinel's gaze won't fall on them.
Small search parties have been sent out every day? Whatever, on brief and methodical mapping missions, equipped with teletheric walkie-talkies. Right now, Zila and Cleo are out together.
That pit they found,
where they lost Mickey and Hambing,
is now the first of many. In the intervening time, they have discovered 6 more pits and counting, all of them circular, abyssal, bottomless wells, boring straight down into fathomless darkness.
They've found 2 distinct types, founts and deltas, they're calling them. The former issue fold, like the first pit that they found.
The latter draw fold into themselves, whirlpool-like, with an ominous hollow breeze that would catch at your hair and the edges of your clothing if you stood too near the edge, which they absolutely do not do.
Other than the directional flow difference, these 2 pit types are indistinguishable from one another. No symbols, no signs, no indicators to let the crew know where these chasms come from or where they might lead.
And even if they knew that, then what? It's not like they can just jump straight into one of these things.
Or actually, they can do that. They could, but they won't, because that seems like it would be a very bad idea.
But nevertheless, they mark these pits on their charts. With every additional one they find, there is a sense of both accomplishment and futility. If you're trapped in a dungeon, finding a door feels like progress. Finding 2 doors feels like a puzzle.
But finding 6 doors starts to feel kind of overwhelming, especially when you know you've only barely started exploring one tiny section of the dungeon.
Right now, other than Zila and Cleo, the rest of the crew are back at camp after a long day, morning, evening, night, whatever, of incomprehensible dark city cartography, cleaning up after yet another dismal dinner of rations and beans.
Everyone else has dispersed, and the granddaughter is currently doing dishes alone, with their eyes closed in the stagecoach galley. Pink prescription glasses up on top of their head.
True to his word, Merlin has created a special pair of prescription lenses for the granddaughter, grinding down cutouts of glass from a spare Bacular Haas headlamp. He even cut them to fit into Dot's heart-shaped frames, and the original pink lenses have been retained as a flip-up option.
Stylish and practical. Dot's vision has never been better.
But being able to see everything now, all the time, has been proving, well, incredible, yes, but also overwhelming. And the granddaughter is grateful for a break.
They sightlessly wipe bowls with a damp rag, judiciously conserving water. They fear the rapidly approaching point at which their water reserves will be so low that they can't justify doing dishes anymore. It's not really about the dishes. It's about the ritual.
Now Steve squeezes in, his large frog-to-puss bulk sloshing into the galley.
Missed a couple.
He drops off a few pewter plates soiled with baked beans and pauses to liquidly inspect Dot's meditative, low-gravity dishwashing.
You are already eschewing Merlin's glass optics.
Dot sponges a plate, eyes closed.
Sometimes I see too much. The darkness is comforting. It reminds me of the Cenobium, where I used to live.
Steve settles into the little dining setup, squishing his generous, gooshy abdomen into the small booth beside the galley.
Well, optical acuity notwithstanding, granddaughter, I sense that you, in general, do not see things as others do. You see more, differently. The others are all very concerned with the fidelity of their eyeball perception. You have never needed that, and in that way you see what others do not.
Dot sorts silverware. They put away plates, all with practiced ease, eyes closed.
I have missed a great deal, too. Our entire expedition before arriving here was a blur. Literally, I did not know that it was not really that way. I did not see the cosmos for what it was.
Or was it the rest of your crew who did not see it? Who missed the beautiful and real tapestry of impressions that you have seen? You saw your cosmos as you did, as no one else ever has or ever will again. You saw your journey uniquely, and with a form of awareness that your companions can never know.
Dot's heart does a little flip, and they feel for a moment, as they often did when Artifice would speak to them, with his strange, comforting wisdom. They turn a spoon over in their hands, feeling its shape. I suppose so. They do not open their eyes, but their attention is now on Steve. What do you perceive without eyes?
Steve snakes a pedipalp around a deck of playing cards in a nearby cabinet.
Not Everett's vintage green deck. She keeps that one in her coat.
And he begins to sort them, inspecting them. Liquid globule of focus darting around in his head satchel.
I think you know what I perceive. For example, what do you perceive right now with your optics closed?
Dot turns slowly from the galley sink. They do not open their eyes.
Steve gently flicks a playing card
The Nun of Ones.
through the air, and the granddaughter catches it easily from its slow, low-gravity drift, all without opening their eyes. They turn it blindly in their fingers.
You perceive a great deal. You perceive what the others could never.
Steve sluices up out of the booth now, giving Dot a little pat with a bizarre digit as he makes his way to the exit.
If only others could be so lucky to have glass eyeballs that show them what you see, what they are missing, what you and I have perceived all along.
Outside, Merlin exits the weird geodesic bedrock structure the crew have taken to using as the Bocular Haas stable, carrying a small Bocular toolkit back to the stagecoach.
He doesn't sound great.
His digitigrade legs are in need of some TLC. This is a resource-starved situation.
But one thing at a time. Then the next thing. Always moving towards escape.
He's taken to wearing one of his old vests and a pair of cut-off shorts, once pants. Merlin never thought he would be the kind of guy to wear cut-offs, but here we are.
And he looks good doing it.
No, he does not. All of the fabric is looking a little threadbare around the corners.
Merlin passes Steve exiting the stagecoach in his freaky rhinoceros way.
I'm turning in, Merlin. Rest well.
Good night, Steve.
It's not night, Merlin.
And Merlin maneuvers around camping supplies in the stagecoach cargo hold and tightens up a few components on his chassis with a screwdriver.
Down at one end of the hold, through a hatchway, Everett is piled in the main flight control cockpit, hunched in the pilot's chair, draped in her oversized red bomber jacket.
She's wearing big headphones, presumably still working on her teletheric echo feedback project.
Basically, she's sort of roughly sonar mapping the opposite side of the Cosmo City sphere by bouncing teletheric waves at it.
It's not quite as accurate as mapping on foot would be, but it's something.
All the data she's collected has supported the hollow sphere theory so far. This cosmos does seem to be entirely enclosed,
You took one of Old Smoker's box.
Everett says, and turns slowly in her pilot's chair to stare sunken-eyed through the cockpit hatch at Merlin.
She looks haunted and angry and sad and underslept. And her depression core glare is hard to handle.
She's been this way since, you know.
Give it back, Merlin.
Everett, I was auditing our remaining box situation. I wouldn't do that without leaving a box inside of Old Smoker.
Everett removes her headphones and begins to get out of her chair.
I know you have Old Smoker's Bach inside your ass. I'd know that annoying vintage 160 cycle sound anywhere.
She's coming slowly toward him.
Merlin raises his hands placatingly.
Everett, the Bocular array is not in my... Listen to me. I need it. I sound like a singing Bocular wall trout.
You're gonna sound a lot worse if you don't give me my Haas's Bach back.
I won't sound like anything if I give it back, Everett. I will run out of power and then I will be...
Everett stops. She looks at him, hollowly.
Until we can bring all of the used box back to the Bocular rewinder on the ship and dare try to recharge them, we have to make do with the power reserves we still have. If you have real need of Old Smoker, we can talk. I'm sorry, Everett. I made a decision that I thought would keep me going a little longer, and I realize that comes at a cost.
She shakes her head.
Fine. No dying, Merlin. We can't have any more of that.
And she turns and goes up the ladder and disappears into Mickey's navigation cockpit above.
It's where she goes lately when she needs to be alone. When she wishes she wasn't alone.
Well, that's not a great feeling. Merlin stomps back out of the stagecoach, setting the toolkit down at a small workplace he's been using to tinker.
Scattered around are a few different lens tests, a couple of bent metal frames left over from the Dot Glasses project.
Ugh, what he wouldn't give for another project. Something achievable. Something with measurable results.
He strolls over to this small camp that they have established.
Damp.
Damping. Don't knock it till you try it. It can be fun with the right mindset.
They do not have the right mindset.
Although the laughter of Felix and the biological man echoes through the still and silent city, taking on an ominous tinge.
At least to Merlin's ears.
The biological man has actually been laughing more lately, of all the times to develop that particular behavior.
And Merlin is not quite sure that he likes the sound of what was his own laughter emanating from someone else's head.
Though in actuality, the biological man's laugh sounds totally different. It's freer, more unrestrained, more childlike than Merlin's ever was.
And he turns a corner and sees Felix, lounging in a tattered hammock strung up between two midnight dark posts of eerie primal cosmic matter. His glasses are perched on the end of his nose, and a rough stubble now covers his jaw.
He's wearing the MIDST Cosmos equivalent of a Hawaiian shirt, rumpled and sweat-stained.
The biological man is standing nearby, looking over the Timekeeper's shoulders. He reads some book with a bright pink cover. This is weird for Merlin to behold. Of course, the biological man should cultivate a rapport with the rest of the crew, but not, better than Merlin.
Hello, biological man. Hello, Felix. Another day to test reality.
Hello, Merlin. Have you read Princess Shiny yet?
No. I've had more important things to do.
Merlin squats down beside these two, his knees clicking and cracking. He starts scraping at some rust that has been rubbing at his joints.
The biological man, maybe in a show of sympathy, squats down next to him, wearing the pale white tunic and voluminous shorts, classically paired with those mica-resistant moon boots.
As Felix laughs again, turning the page of Princess Shiny No. 4, the perplexing pageant.
Called it. They found the key taped under the table. Hey, Merlin, how many more suckholes and blowholes did we find today?
Stop calling them that. They are ancient and unknowable cosmic mysteries. We found none today.
Merlin's eyes dim for a moment, almost like a glare.
No new ones, anyway. Which you would know if you bothered to do your part in the search effort.
Felix rolls his eyes, his features unflatteringly haggard and stark in the funky noon midnight glare of the sun.
Actually, Felix, a word. Several, in fact. Please explain to me how you lying around here once again reading Princess Shiny comics is materially contributing to the betterment of our circumstances.
It's not. I'm taking a break. You should try it sometime.
You've been taking a break for days. We don't have this kind of time, Felix.
Ugh, don't talk to me about time, please. All of my chronoccoutrements have fallen out of sync anyway.
Well, maybe if you'd taken better care of them, that wouldn't have happened. You want to know something? I have been saving box for your clocks, but maybe Old Smoker and I need them more. It's getting desperate for some of us, Felix. I just don't understand how or why you've stopped caring.
There's no point, Merlin. Our entire conceptual understanding of the cosmos has been blown apart, and there's no way to unblow it. We've stripped away all of our trivial little observables to the bottomest layer, and lo and behold, it was all made up. It all meant nothing. So why worry about it?
Why try to keep track of time when our fundamental reality has been stripped away? Because we and the time we keep are all there is, Felix. That's all there ever has been.
Felix sighs heavily and switches off his little wind-up phonograph. He puts Princess Shiny aside.
Okay. I hate to burst your bubble, bro, but if the institution of time is so important to you, I've got bad news. The system is whack. Always has been. We timekeepers talk a big game about expertise and exactitude and objective standards of precision, and that is because we're overcompensating for a timekeeping method that is inherently ludicrous. It's silly. I mean, we follow a floating contraption, a toy, basically, that we built along a river that we don't even understand where it comes from or where it's going, and we pretend that it's some very serious exact science so that people can play their little calendar games and put dates on their little newspapers. You would not believe the stupid shit that happens with the buoy. Terrors, mirror hawks, kelp thickets, gulpers, gangs of teenagers on fold skimmers playing keep away. One time, we had to add 8 days to a week while the buoy worked its way through the digestive tract of a particularly stupid floater pillar. Point is, the concept of the traversal is a theoretical exercise, not a real thing. We don't live in a theoretical world, Merlin. The time that we tell everyone it is, it's a guess. I've spent my whole career being so stressed and so angry about all the inconsistencies and imperfections in the system in which I am supposed to be an authority, and how there never seems to be any time, shut up, to consider if the system is even a good one. And now, here we are in a place where the fold act's totally different, gravity is fucked, and the current, the one kind of objective, consistent thing we could try to hang a little timekeeping system on, doesn't exist at all. Even if I could call up the Timekeepers Guild right now and ask them what time it is in our cosmos, what would that do for you? They'd just be telling you some number that sounds close enough. They don't know. No one knows. There is no way to know, Merlin. And to my own surprise, I'm actually deriving a sense of peace from this. I feel like this is the first time I've had the luxury to think clearly since I joined the guild. Maybe I don't want to be constantly stressed out anymore. Fuck me, right?
Felix, listen to me. If we don't track something, we'll have no frame of reference. How long have we been here? How do we account for the way that we spent any of our time if we do not track it? What if we get back and realize that this is one of those things where time is going 9 times faster back home and everyone's dead and we've been gone for thousands of traversals?
You read too much sci-fi, man. That only happened to like one guy ever, and it's anecdotal. And you're assuming that we will even get back home at all.
Merlin lurches to his feet, his knees making a screeching metallic sound.
Well, not with that attitude, we won't. Fiction comes from facts, Felix. The whole idea of science fiction at all is to present thinly disguised reflections of our scientific reality back to the reader. It comes from truth. But if we can't believe at least some of the lies we tell ourselves, like, oh, I don't know, time or mortality or morality, why do anything? And you're the one reading comic books instead of helping with anything at all.
Chill out, dude.
Felix looks up at Merlin in genuine concern.
Are your bucks doing okay? I didn't mean to freak you out. It's just that I've been confronting my relationship to all this time stuff, and
I'm sure you have. I'm sure your personal break is very important to your well-being. I'll just be over here tending to my well-being and the well-being of the entire remaining crew. Excuse me.
Merlin, I'm sorry. Look, can you just...
But Merlin spins around, knees practically exploding with grinding and creaking.
If what you are about to say is an excuse, I do not want to hear it. Actions speak louder than words. And while I still can, I am going to act.
Merlin stares Felix down with his polite, curious, rigid, bacular face. His eyes dim again, with either a glare or maybe just a dip in his bacular power supply. It's kind of spooky.
Felix's prickly expression falters just a little, and under the sass, there is the same terrified, hunted, exhausted fear and hopelessness that's eating away at all of them. I'm coping with this as best as I can, Merlin.
But Merlin stomps off, clenching and unclenching his metallic hands. Well, they're not his hands, after all. Or are they?
The biological man stands up.
Please excuse me, Felix.
And trots along after Merlin, following him around the corner from the stagecoach, at a bit of a remove from the rest of the crew.
Merlin's bellows are acting up, or else he's sort of breaking down?
They are expanding and contracting with a shuddering quake that just won't quite quit.
Merlin pauses to brace himself against a wall, only to immediately jerk his hand back from that very wrong-feeling substance.
And the biological man catches up to him.
Biological man, what would happen to you when your box wound down?
I don't know, Merlin. You made sure that never happened to me. I'm sure it must be very scary for you. Are you okay, Merlin?
Merlin clasps his bacular hands. He forces the bellows to smoothly fill and empty. A pointed sigh as above the sun slowly flares, and the blob belt accelerates, and then it all calms again.
They're all getting used to this by now. It happens regularly.
Actually, biological man, I'm not okay. We're using up all of our box, which basically means I'm dying, or at risk of death. I have no way of knowing if this will be an experience like falling asleep, or if that interruption of power will reset me somehow, or just kill me. We're also running out of food and water, which means you all won't be far behind me unless we return to the ship for supplies, which, need I remind you, will invariably summon the giant sun monster that's out there somewhere immolating us one by one. We're stuck in an entirely alien cosmos where everything I know is worthless. I'm here in this instead of in you, and to top it off, no one seems to be taking this as seriously as I am. Everyone is crapping out on me.
The biological man shudders, hearing this onslaught in what was once his own bacular voice, after all. He feels his whole biological physicality recoiling. It doesn't feel good. It's giving him feelings.
You, as me, are basically the one person I can rely on, so don't you dare crap out on me too. On that note, I think you should seriously consider not spending so much time with Felix. He's a bad influence. Refocus on mapping instead. Speaking of not giving Felix the time of day anymore, I'm going to go confiscate his box. Right now.
And Merlin storms off, knees screaming.
Watching him go, the biological man sighs wearily, his forehead creased in concern and annoyance.
Yes, Merlin. Whatever you say, Merlin. Thanks for listening to Unend. If you're enjoying the story, please rate and review to help someone new discover the cosmos.
You can catch Unend every Wednesday anywhere you stream podcasts or through the MIDST Podcast YouTube channel.
If you're looking to dive deeper into the story, become a Beacon member at beacon.tv or join the fold on midst.co to receive early ad-free access to episodes, behind-the-scenes exclusives, and lore-expanding bonus content.
Or, if you just want to hear this podcast 2 weeks early and without ads, subscribe on Spotify or Apple Podcasts.
To stay up to date on what's next in the cosmos, sign up for our newsletter on midst.co or find us on social media at MIDST Podcast.